The fake news case that dragged the names of Kim Taehyung, V, and Taehyung Jungkook has finally entered its most decisive phase. After more than a year of silence, full of documents, digital evidence, and legal proceedings that have never been seen on camera, the lawsuit filed by Big Hit Music against a YouTube channel has finally reached its final stage. The appeal verdict is scheduled to be read in January 2026, and for many, this is not just the end of a legal case, but an important turning point in the history of protecting K-pop artists from systematic false information attacks. It all started with a series of videos that circulated widely on the YouTube platform, containing claims, speculations, and narratives that were never confirmed, but packaged in such a way that they looked as if they came from internal sources. The videos consistently mentioned Taehyung and Jungkook by name, bringing together old snippets of images, twisted context, and creators' personal assumptions into one big story that slowly shapes public opinion. In a matter of weeks, the rumor spread across platforms, was quoted, translated into multiple languages, and turned from mere gossip into allegations that seemed to have legitimacy. Big Hit Music did not immediately respond publicly. For months, the agency chose the silent path, gathering evidence, documenting digital footprints, mapping the spread of content, and tracing the motives behind the channels in question. This step became a strong signal that the case is not treated as a minor nuisance, but rather as a serious threat to the reputation of artists and their psychological stability. When the official lawsuit was finally announced, the public realized that what had seemed like an internet drama had turned into a complex legal case. What makes this case so sensitive is Taehyung and Jungkook's position as public figures with global influence. Any false narrative attached to their name doesn't stop at one country, doesn't stop at one language, and doesn't stop at one platform. Rumors originating from a single YouTube channel can impact millions of fans, sparking debate, suspicion, and even division among the community. In this context, Big Hit's lawsuit is not only a defense against two individuals, but also an attempt to break the chain of spreading false information that has been considered out of touch with the law. During the course of the proceedings, many details were deliberately not made public. But from the documents revealed, it can be seen that the core of the lawsuit focuses on repeated patterns of dissemination, commercial intentions through content monetization, as well as the real impact on the artist's image and mental health. Big Hit emphasized that freedom of expression cannot be used as a shield to spread lies that harm others, especially when the lies are packaged as facts. Fans' reactions were torn between anger and relief. On the one hand, Army Global voiced full support, considering this legal step as a form of protection that has been awaited. On the other hand, there are also lengthy discussions about how easily public opinion is shaped by narratives that are not necessarily true, and how fragile the boundaries between entertainment, gossip, and defamation are in the digital age. The names Taehyung and Jungkook, which have always been synonymous with music, art, and dedication, suddenly have to coexist with legal terms, lawsuits, and court rulings. Entering the appeal stage, the case becomes even more crucial. The preliminary ruling has provided direction, but the appeal will set a broader precedent. Will the court strengthen the protection of artists from fake news? Will content channels be held fully accountable for the impact of the narratives they disseminate? The answers to these questions will reverberate far beyond the case of Taehyung and Jungkook. For the South Korean entertainment industry, this moment is seen as a test. Over the years, artists have often been asked to be patient with rumors, arguing that controversy is part of fame. But this case challenges that assumption. He points out that there are limits that should not be violated and that the law can and should be present to protect individuals from deliberate false information attacks. In the midst of all this, Taehyung and Jungkook choose to remain silent in public spaces. No emotional statements, no lengthy clarifications on social media. Their silence is instead a symbol of trust in the legal process and in the agency that stands in front as a shield. For many fans, this attitude is read as a force, a decision not to fight rumors with rumors, but with facts and official lines. As January 2026 draws closer, public attention again turns to a single date, not because of the sensation, but because of the implications. This appeal ruling will be a marker. Will the era of fake news without consequences continue, Or will it be the beginning of greater responsibility for digital content creators? Taehyung and Jungkook's case is no longer just about two big names. It has turned into a mirror to today's digital culture of how information is created, disseminated, and trusted. And when the judge's hammer is finally tapped, the entertainment world, the media, and millions of fans will witness not just the outcome of a lawsuit, but a new direction in the face of truth in the internet age. The continuation of this case also opens up a broader conversation about moral responsibility in the age of algorithms. Digital platforms, which have been free spaces for expression, are slowly being forced to reflect to what extent they are partly responsible for the content that is uploaded, disseminated, and monetized. In the appeal document, it is mentioned how the videos not only last a long time, but also continue to be recommended by the system, prolonging the life of the rumors even when clarifications have already circulated. This reinforces the argument that the impact of fake news is not simply the fault of individuals, but rather part of a larger ecosystem. For Taehyung and Jungkook personally, the case left traces that were not always visible. Behind the seemingly normal schedule of rehearsals, musical projects, and public appearances, there is a psychological burden that is difficult to measure. Those closest to him describe this period as a time when trust was tested, not just trust in the public, but also in the system that was supposed to protect them. But it is precisely from the pressure that comes the firm decision not to let the lies continue to develop without consequences. Armies in various countries began to organize themselves, not to strike back, but to educate. Media literacy campaigns, mass reporting of problematic content, and discussions about information verification are becoming more and more common. This phenomenon indicates a change in the attitude of fans, from passive consumers of rumors to communities aware of the impact of information. In many ways, this support reinforces Big Hit's position that the case has real social implications. Meanwhile, the sued YouTube channel is facing an increasingly sharp spotlight. Defense arguments that emphasize entertainment and personal opinion are tested in the presence of concrete evidence. The court assesses not only the content of the statement, but also the context, the upload pattern, and the financial benefit obtained. This debate is a clear example of how the line between opinion and disinformation can no longer be allowed to blur. In the run-up to the appeal verdict, tensions were felt on various lines of the industry. Other agencies are watching closely. International media are preparing analyses, and entertainment law experts are assessing potential precedents. If the court upholds Big Hit's lawsuit, it could pave the way for similar legal moves in the future, giving artists tools to protect themselves from organized digital attacks. Ultimately, not only the reputation of the two global stars is at stake, but the direction of digital culture itself. Will truth have a more powerful space than sensation? Will freedom of speech be offset by responsibility? When January 2026 arrives, the answers to those questions will begin to take shape. And when the verdict is read out, the world will remember that the Taehyung and Jungkook cases were once a point where industry, the law, and the public were forced to choose which side to stand on, a profitable lie or a truth that protects.